It's Black Friday on Locked On NBA Game Night, and we're all about the deals, the best contracts in the NBA, future trade steals, and great value on end of NBA season awards. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On. I'm going to hit the right button here of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, except there are no games because it is the day after Thanksgiving. It's Black Friday, so we're bringing you a little bit of a different show today. We're all about the deals, aren't we, John?
We're all about the deal. The deals. We've got deals.
Oh, man, that was good. By the way, today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. You brought the props today.
Do you want a freeze? A freeze of me with the megaphone? That's probably not much. Just a shot here for like the thumbnail.
That was perfect. Got it. I
Megaphone.
can use that. There you go. People on YouTube will have already gotten a little bit of a preview here. On Fridays now, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. I don't know what I do.
Whoa, did you take over my show?
Yeah, about to, man. I wish.
I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter. I am the actual host of Locked On Celtics.
All right, let's get into it here, where we're going to just break down the deals, the steals. We're going to look at future NBA end-of-season awards and some really great odds you can get. We're going to look at future trade steals, guys that will get moved to the trade deadline. We're going to look back and be like, they went for that little. But let's start with some of the best contracts in the NBA. And, John, you want to be a little bit homerish and tip us off here.
Yeah, I kind of have to because my answer is Peyton Pritchard, who is making $6 million this season. In fact, signed to a pretty good value contract overall, $6.7 million this season for a guy who just scored 20 points. He's one of the most prolific three-point shooters in the league at this point, coming off the Celtics bench. He is firing away, but he's also he's moving the ball well. He's actually defending pretty well for a guy his size. We just watched him earlier this week against the Clippers, going up against James Harden and holding his own. Which, maybe people can do a little bit better nowadays for James Harden, but still holding his own against James Harden is impressive. He is the leader right now for the Sixth Man of the Year award. And at $6.7 million to have a sixth man capable of putting up 20 points, capable of hitting 4 or 5 3-pointers a night, I think that's just an incredible value contract that he just signed. This is year one of the deal.
Yeah, that's kind of the key to this. We'll look at some others here in this segment, but you got to kind of look at guys not on their rookie deals. Basically, every player on their rookie deal is more or less kind of outperforming that if they're good and they are dramatically underpaid and a really good value. So looking beyond that, it just kind of speaks to what the Celtics have done with the foresight from some of these players and locking their people in on smart contracts. They did this with Drew Holiday. They did this with Derek White as well. You could put Derek White in this list, I think, too. And
absolutely. He's making $20 million a year. And I'm going to start the Derek White should be an all-star campaign very, very soon. He is easily my favorite Celtics player. He is so fun. He is just an incredible, pure basketball player, and he's literally having a ton of fun out there. So it's another great value contract for the Celtics.
Yeah, they've done, like I said, they've been thinking ahead, right? And I think that's what's so smart about that. They knew some of these new CBA rules were coming in place with the second apron. If you lock everyone in, you don't need to worry about it as much because you don't need to add anything, and that's where they're limited. But they kind of kept everybody from that championship team. It was really smart. All right, I'll go a little homerish here. I've got Herb Jones at $13 million this year. He's out injured right now, but for what he gives you on defense, first team all defense last year, he became a better three-point shooter last season, particularly from the corners for a team that needs that. It's kind of like an elite 3-and-D guy. You'd like maybe the 3-point volume to be higher, but the defense he gives you when you hear guys like Paul George, Luka Doncic, and others be like, yeah, that's the toughest dude to play against. It's pretty high praise. At $13 million, I find that one pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves Herb Jones. He's the type of player that you kind of want on your team. Every player wants a Herb Jones. To get him at that money is really good. And he's a guy that you can kind of like. Doesn't matter what your future is, you kind of always have room for.
You always have a
Herb
room
Jones.
for like a Herb Jones with that. You got others? You want me to throw a bunch at you here?
I got one. It's not the best team in the world, but how about Kobe White at $12 million?
Yeah, he really took a step forward last year, I thought. And it's like, yeah, it worked out pretty well for him there.
This is the second straight year he's averaging 19 points a game. His efficiency is good enough where like he's hitting 38% of his 3-pointers. He's right at a career high at this point. He's doing it on higher volume. So he's a guy that has had takeover type moments, and he's still only 24 years old. So I don't know where the Bulls are going to go, but he seems like a guy you can keep, or maybe a guy that you can trade depending on where you're going. We're going to talk about value trades in a minute. At $12 million, that's a guy, and $12.8 million next year, that's a guy that, depending on what direction you want to go, you have options at that number.
Yeah, I agree with that one. What about, does Jalen Brunson count? $25 million this year. He was 5th in MVP voting last year. Look, he took a weirder extension to help that team be good, but $25 million for someone averaging basically 25 points per game, 8 assists, which is a career high, shooting above 40% from 3. He's been doing that the past couple of years. It feels like it's a steal.
How can it not be a steal when you're making the same amount as Terry Rozier, and when guys like RJ Barrett and John Collins and Jordan Poole, I'm just going up the list of people who make more money than him. Isaiah Hartenstein makes more money than him. And not to disparage these guys, but I'm just saying Isaiah Hartenstein makes 30. Drew Holiday on the Celtics makes 30. These are guys that, okay, that's the kind of the market value, but to go down that far on the list for Jalen Brunson, even at the 34.5 that he's going to make next year, or actually it's 35 that he's going to make next year. Even that, when you look at the top of the list, the best players in the NBA are all making 40, 50, 55 million. For Jalen Brunson to be that far down and a number one option on we're going to say they'll be a good team. I still think the Knicks have time to kind of solidify themselves. That absolutely qualifies as one of the best contracts in the league.
Yeah, look, it's a final year of a previous contract. His extension kicks in next year and it goes up. So it's kind of like a 1-year outlier, but it's still really good. Even then, his extension is good. Even the extension is really good. All right, I got a couple of quick ones for you here before we wrap up. Jared Allen, how do you feel about him at $20 million this season? He signed an extension too, but so it'll go up, but he's on a pretty good deal, I think.
I think it's a good deal. I don't think it's the best value deal. I think it's maybe a tad below market value for him, but it's still below market value. So it's a good deal, no doubt. I think some of these other deals are significantly better, but it's still good for that team and what you're getting.
Yeah, Tyus Jones at $2 million on basically a veteran minimum deal.
That's
great contract for the Suns.
That's something that you lucked into, because the market, so weird what the market did this offseason. Like, just from a Celtics perspective, who did they just have? God, I just drew a blank on his name that they just cut, and he's out of the league. I'll get back to it in a second, because for some reason it just left my head. Maybe it's the turkey hangover, the tryptophan hangover.
There you go.
But yeah, Tyus Jones, Lonnie Walker popped into my head. There it is. Lonnie Walker is out of the league right now. How did that happen to Lonnie Walker? He's better than that. Tyus Jones, almost out of the league, signing on a minimum contract. How did that happen? That's going to have to change next year. But absolutely, that's one of those. I don't know how that happened, but it always seems to be like one or two guys every year. They're like, how did he slip, and how did you get him for that little?
Yeah. Final one I've got for you here is Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic. It's not for this season as much. He's making $25 million, which I think is a little much for him this year, but that drops to $15 million basically each season for the next 4 years with the defensive versatility that he gives them. I think at 15 is a great contract.
And the Magic hang their hat on good physical defense, protecting the rim and all of that. And he's able to do that. He fits in. That's exactly the type of money you want for a guy that does what he does. So great value, especially at that, that 15 million, maybe 25 is a little much, but looking forward 15 next year, 14.5 the next 2 years. That's a good value to have. And again, tradable. So Orlando's in a position where you're going to have to figure out fit and all of that. So you have options with him.
You're also going to have like young guys coming up on big time extensions, Bankero, Franz Wagner, and how you get like a defensive anchor for you at a cheap amount. It's kind of like a Herb Jones deal where it's like you can always have room for that sort of guy. So those are some of the best contracts, the best deals here in the NBA. But what about steals when it comes to trades? We got some names we want to bring up for you. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night, but without the games on this episode. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Skylight. Look, it's the holidays. You want to celebrate with people. You want to be connected to people. But what about those who are far away? If you're missing someone this holiday season and want them to be part of your festivities from afar, do your loved ones live far away? Do you wish they could be close? Well, then we have the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame for your whole family, and they're going to love it. You can upload thousands of photos with your phone and then watch them appear in seconds. John, you have one of these and you love it.
I have one of these. It's so cool because, I'm sitting here with my wife. We're both taking pictures. So we have this in our house for us. And I'll take some pictures with my phone. She'll take some pictures with her phone. And we just say, oh, I like that. Let's send it to the Skylight. And boom, it's there. And within seconds of uploading it to the app, it's in the rotation and you can the pictures move. So what makes this a great gift for like mom, dad, somewhere out of state, somewhere else, you set that thing up super quick and you have the app. Every time you take a picture of your kids or yourself or whomever, you can just send it to that frame and then boom, it just shows up right there on their frame so they can see. They wake up in the morning like, oh, a new picture of my grandkids. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And now, as a special limited time offer, our listeners get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That's skylightframe.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night in under 30 minutes. Hear your first listen today. Now, go to LockedOnDaily.com. Sign up for the all-new free Locked On NBA newsletters from every team. You just go to LockedOnDaily.com, select your favorite team, scroll down. It's one-stop shop for top league and team coverage right to your inbox, completely free over at LockedOnDaily.com. All right, John, let's continue our Black Friday extravaganza is what we could maybe call it. Just do you still have the foghorn there?
Yeah, yep. Hold on.
Let's get a deals here.
Deals.
We even break out props today and everything. Well rested probably for not staying up watching.
Now I can write this thing off.
Yeah, there you go. It's a business expense. You know who might be business expenses for a couple of NBA teams are some of the tropes. Try and get them in there. Are some trade targets? I was when we were talking about the show, I was thinking about the Dallas Mavericks and some of the moves they made for PJ Washington, for Daniel Gafford, and they gave up relatively little for some of those guys that ended up being big difference makers for the team. So let's try and predict who some of the top trade targets, the biggest steals are going to be this season that could maybe help someone get a run to an NBA Finals or something like that. I'll start here if you want, and I think it's Robert Williams III from the Portland Trailblazers. Kind of thrown in as an afterthought, dealt with a lot of injuries the past couple of years here, but he's been playing this year. You see the defense is already making an impact for him. 10 points per game, 6 rebounds. They're obviously going to try and move him. That's the type of kind of like springy big man, I think, that is the type of guy that can really open things up for the right NBA team.
Listen, I have a strong affinity for Robert Williams, the Time Lord, who started his career in Boston, whom I've spoken to many, many, many times. One of the most genuinely nice people in the NBA, and is a guy who's dealt with a ton of injuries. So getting him is, I think, going to be, aside from salary matching, not that expensive. You don't have to give up a ton.
Exactly.
Because and exactly why he's one of the steals. If he's healthy, he is capable of doing a lot. He is one of the best passers that I've seen. In fact, when he was with the Celtics, I thought he had an argument to be the best passer. You can run high post plays out of him, the dribble handoffs, but then he can also fake the handoff, deck it, and get to the rim. He's a super athlete. He can short roll and find guys in the corner. You can run your offense through Robert Williams and be very successful. And he's just pogo sticks for legs. He's springy. He's no matter what the injuries are, he's still a supreme athlete. I love Robert Williams. I would think that any team, if you can swing a deal for him, again, not giving up too much, but if you can swing a deal for him, you need to upgrade your defense and have a ball mover on offense who can finish lobs and all of that stuff. He is a great trade target.
Yeah, it's not going to take a first round pick to pry him away, given the injuries that he's had. 2 second round picks maybe get you Robert Williams, along with the salary that kind of matches there. He's making $12.5 million this year, a little over $13 million next year. Just seems like the type of player that would end up on a contender and really kind of supercharge them, or at least be like a depth piece off the bench. And you always kind of need some of those guys here, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So again, it's just a fan. I think just by what he's capable of doing, a bidding war. I don't want to say it's going to be a bidding war. There's going to be a limit, but I can see multiple teams going after him.
Yeah. All right. Who you got for me here? Oh, you want me? I can keep going. I got a bunch of names.
Because mine is completely out of the box. It's you're not going to even believe that I'm going there, but it's
I love it.
You want to just do it now? Okay. Here's
sure.
I
got 2 more.
Not a this year. It's not a this year thing. So let's just get this out of the way. DeAnthony Melton is out for the season. Okay. He's out for the season. You talk about a deal that can be had. The Warriors are looking to shed salary still. You can try to finagle a deal. Maybe you can get some smaller, money back or something. There's probably a deal out there where the Warriors can be like, look, we're not going to have this guy this year. We're not going to move forward with him. So let's move him. Let's see if we can get something back. Maybe they attach a pick somewhere. Maybe they throw a second round pick to move him. Maybe a team with some cap space can say, we'll get a useful player that the Warriors will pay to move into space. And Melton, after the ACL surgery, comes back and can be like I said, a useful bench piece or spot starter. I think if you're bargain shopping, Melton could be a piece that fits around what a team is trying to build, a team with cap space.
Look, I was not expecting that at all. So I kind of dig it. Yeah. Go off the board here. All right. I got 2 more for you before we wrap all this up. This one, I didn't actually prep you with this one. Chris Paul. I maybe prepped you last week because I mentioned it. $10.4 million. The Spurs are 9-8. He's helping them win games. I don't think they want that. I know you don't think so.
I don't think so because I don't think I think Chris Paul is a strong personality, and I know that he's helping them win games, and um, that could be a problem, and so that makes him a trade target. Is he a great deal to trade for? I don't know. First of all, health wise, I don't trust him to be available down the stretch. Secondly, he is a very strong personality. I don't know that there's a lot of locker rooms at that point. If you're a let's just I haven't even thought about this. So if you're the Milwaukee Bucks looking to bring somebody in, if you're a top tier team, I don't know, New York Knicks, the 76ers, whomever, is that the personality that you want coming into the locker room at that point? I don't think he's still at step back mode. I think he's comes in and wants to take over. You have to have a strong culture to handle that coming in. And I don't know if I'd be weary of that if I'm another team's GM.
Look, that's fair, I think. Final one I have for you here is Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans. Not for what he's making this season or what he'll necessarily provide you this season. Expiring deal, it's making $30+ million this year. But when you look at his market, and this is why the Pelicans were trying to trade him, he wants $45-50 million. He's not getting that. There's no money in free agency in the first place. No team wanted to give him that sort of extension here. This is the guy that you maybe can trade for, and you sign to a $25 million per year extension, like 2 years, $50 million, to let him get out of that early. For a guy that can give you 25, 6 and 6 on a nightly basis, if you wanted that out of him, I don't know, $25 million for that guy sounds great. 50, absolutely not, but $25 million for Brandon Ingram, can I interest you?
If you can get him to do two things. One, agree to a prove it deal, because that's a prove it deal.
Yeah, it is.
He has to understand and accept that he is on a prove it deal, which means number two, part of proving it is expand your range to 3. Damn it. Become a 3-point shooter. Will you please? If he can do those two things, then absolutely. If you can get him on a prove it deal and he starts shooting 3-pointers, great. But I feel like we've had this conversation with DeMar DeRozan in the past. This is the same deal, without
fair.
the likability.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, coming up next, let's look at the NBA end of season awards odds. Is there anyone out there that we really like to win one of those? It's maybe like a deeper down pick for you to get some real great value. It's Black Friday here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle all the NFL and NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, momentum swinging, they have live updated lines so you can check out the latest stats, if you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And look, we got a bunch coming from FanDuel coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA. And of course, thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night, every game, every night, your first listen today and every day here. But go check out your favorite team show. There's a Locked On NBA for the Celtics, for the Pelicans, for the Nuggets, who we'll talk about, for the Knicks, and all of the teams out there. Go make that your second listen today. All right, John, we're going to go a little rapid fire here. It's still the Black Friday episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. What are some good odds? I actually completely forgot you had that, and so that actually threw me off, and I kind of love it. Like, dig it. We've been doing this together for like 6-7 years. Still kind of surprising each other here. It's great. Let's got
to keep the marriage fresh.
Yeah, it's literally what I was thinking. All right, so all right. NBA MVP. Nikola Jokic is the favorite at +200. Shea is +300. Jason Tatum +450. Giannis +800. Anthony Edwards +1200. Who you like there? What's the best value pick?
I'm going value pick. And you know what? Give me those Jason Tatum odds. Give me the Jason Tatum odds, because maybe people are still gonna be maybe a little tired of Jokic, we've given him a few, maybe there's a little the voter fatigue is back. I don't think so. I still probably think it's going to be Jokic, but talking about value, talking about deals for the return on Jason Tatum, the Celtics are 15-3. They are right there at the top of the East. They are really, really good. Jason Tatum is still a plus-minus monster. They are better with him on the floor. I know there's a lot of great players on the Celtics, and that takes away from the argument that Tatum is the MVP. But if you can just open up and see what Tatum does to draw defenses, to drive and kick, to start that offense flowing. When Tatum is doing all the right things, the entire Celtics offense is going, and you can make an argument that his ability to do those things starts the process of this offense being an elite offense. So I think maybe by the end of the season, he's going to get more love if the Celtics can keep up this pace.
So I think he's going to get a lot of love, but the answer here is that the best value is just take Jokic. He's the favorite.
Yeah.
Take the favorite here.
Yeah.
Make your money. Plus 200 per FanDuel. That seems like pretty good odds to me for the guy we all think is gonna win here. Let's move on to Rookie of the Year. You've got Jared McCain at minus 135 per FanDuel. Dalton Connect is plus 350. Then it really drops to Risa Shea at plus 1,000. Zach Edey at plus 2,000. What's your pick here?
I'm going to go with the favorite. I can't go too far down the list. Like Dalton Connect is a guy like in our best contracts in the NBA, the best deals.
Yeah, he's up there.
You could have made that because we're not talking about a rookie deal, like a guy who was the 17th pick doing what he's doing. That's an amazing deal. But I can't at this point. I can't make an argument for anybody else. I can't even do the Jason Tatum thing with anybody else at this point.
I'll go Dalton Connect at plus 350. Those are pretty good odds there when you think of how favored Jared McCain is. And for a guy that's going to have an outsized role on that Lakers team, it's probably only going to grow. And look, they don't stink like the 76ers do. Feels like maybe some of that like Lakers bias maybe bumps him up a little bit. I think that could be
fair.
This one's interesting. Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama, minus 185 per FanDuel here. The next closest is Evan Mobley at plus 1,100. It's like the gulf between first and second is massive.
Plus 1,100. Give me those odds. Plus 1,100 for a guy who's as good a defender as Mobley is.
Who's taking a big leap this year too, it feels like.
Give me, yes, absolutely. I know we were just talking about going for the favorites because it's obvious, right? Wembanyama is going to be the favorite. But the Spurs, I don't trust necessarily. They're going to keep going the way they're going, or they're winning too much. Is there going to be a moment where maybe oh my God, Wembanyama has, is that a sore knee? Well, we're going to give you 3 weeks to rest that sore knee. Like that type of stuff.
That's the one thing that could hurt him.
That scares me. Meanwhile, the Cavs are right there. The Spurs are the 9th best defense. The Cavs are the 10th best defense by percentage points at this point. But the Cavs are still a good defense. I think they can get better as the year goes along. And if Wembanyama doesn't play enough, or there's some sort of question if he plays enough, then you're going to have to start looking somewhere else. So I'm going to take a chance, a risk.
It's a flyer. I like that.
My first $5 bet, is it my first $5 bet? No, I want that to win. But my second $5 bet on FanDuel, I'm taking the risk on that plus 1,100 and give me Evan Mobley.
It's like one of those where it's like, yeah, let's just take a chance here because the odds are so good.
Yeah.
Here's one that I think is pretty wide open. Most improved player. Franz Wagner plus 420 per FanDuel. Jalen Williams plus 550. LaMelo Ball plus 550. Jalen Johnson plus 850. And then Dyson Daniels at plus 1,200. Grady Dick at plus 2,000. I want the Dyson Daniels plus 1,200 odds here. I think he's been outstanding. He's actually third best odds for Defensive Player of the Year per FanDuel. If you're in the running, right? Like it's got to be Dyson Daniels here as the 5th favorite, 6th favorite. 5th favorite. Like that's too good odds to pass up.
And I just saw him, like he had a huge game against the Celtics. So his performance is fresh in my mind. Like I like Dyson Daniels. I think that's a solid choice for most improved, because a lot of these other guys, have already been good. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand how Franz Wagner is up there. As great as he's been, like, most improved because last year was a down year. You got to go back 2 years ago, and Wagner was kind of doing this 2 years ago. So I'm not giving most improved to somebody who's done this before. It's just a bounce back season. I'm looking at somebody who's actually improved, and like Dyson Daniels, that's a fair choice. I like that.
Yeah, plus 1,200 here. All right, final one, but I don't think this is going to take long. Peyton Pritchard for Sixth Man of the Year, plus 150. Cool.
Just give it to me, baby. Give it to me.
There you go. The best ways to make some money here per FanDuel with the end of season awards right now. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night, your Black Friday episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
Thank you. And I'm John Karalis at John_Karalis on Twitter, and host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
We hope you all had a wonderful holiday. There's more games this weekend. We got game nights every single day, 7 nights a week. That's going to do it for us. We'll see y'all next week.
Deals, deals, deals.